What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another brand new Major Bang gaming video, and it's enough with the Xbox today, and we're going to be talking about the Switch 2, which has had lots of different specifications leaked. It's not clear on which ones are accurate, but I'm going to talk about both options here today. This is the ultimate Switch 2 video with all the information we currently have right now. One is heavily detailed, one not so much, but we still have some things to talk about, some things to complain about, and then some things to be positive about. So let's get into talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. If you enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It really helps me out. I'm trying to do this YouTube thing the best I can, and I want to make videos better for you guys. So let me know what I can do to improve as well. So let's talk about it. So Nintendo Switch 2 hardware specs. This was from Bob Wolf. Now, Bob Wolf, obviously very reputable YouTuber, not just Nintendo, but various different things. Cool guy, actually. I liked watching him do various different things, especially on the Switch. It was cool. Anyway, this is what he said. So the NVIDIA T2, was not his specs, but this is what he's seen. We're going to be getting a display of 120 hertz, and that's the main thing I'm very excited about here. Now, we do actually contradict that a bit in the other rumor. As I said, there's two different rumors. We're going to start off with this one. So NVIDIA T239 processor, no information on what exactly that is going to be, but still, very, very, very interesting. We actually go to the article. You can see here, this is what they've talked about. This is the exact article. If you want to see it, I'll link it below in the description. But T239 processor, the memory is 8 gigs, which personally I'm disappointed with because Series S has 10 gigabytes of RAM, and various different developers have come out and actually complained about it only being 10 gigs of RAM. So dropping below that, I'm not happy with. I personally hope the other rumors we're going to talk about after this one are true, because they are insane. And then 64 gigabytes of internal storage is just a mess, in my opinion. It really should not be that. It needs to be way higher. Various different games like Hogwarts Legacy is like a 17, 18 gigabyte download, which means if you have 3 of those games installed, that's it, you're full. And that doesn't even account for system software, like where that needs to go. So that's just not good enough from my personal opinion. But display is 120 hertz screen, which is absolutely insane and very, very important, considering Steam Deck has obviously 90 hertz screen on the OLED. Obviously the original Steam Deck has 60, ROG Ally has 120, and the MSI Claw, the new one that we've been hearing about, that has 120 as well. So that's the specs from what Bob Wolf at least has said, from what he's seen from this article. But this other article came out from Universo Nintendo. This is actually a non-English website, but we can still read the specs. So T239 Tegra, this is the same chip that's on Bob Wolf's one that he retweeted, and also it actually says a little bit more. So it's 8 core, doesn't say what the actual gigahertz of that CPU are going to be clocked at, but the GPU, we actually have some numbers, which it says it's going to be like the 3000 series RTX cards, which means we should be getting something like a good DLSS support. With portable, it's 1.7 to 2 T-flops, and then the docked performance can be 3.5 to 4.5 T-flops. Obviously, when it's having more power pushed through it, that is going to boost the performance of the system, and you get a higher T-flop count. Now, we know that T-flops do not mean everything, so if you're going to compare this to something like T-flops, ROG Ally, for example, obviously you can see the ROG has 8. It's far more than this system. Steam Deck, T-flops, this is probably more in line, 1.6. So what you can actually see from this, as long as it's true, is even portably, you're actually going to get a higher T-flop count than the Steam Deck. But I know I said it's lower than the ROG Ally, but what you have to remember is with the ROG Ally, there is no optimization being done for that system, right? Like, the game is launched on PC, you download the PC version on ROG Ally, and that's it. Like, that's it. You don't get any optimization for that hardware. It's just brute forcing its way to that position. Whereas with the Switch, for example, you actually get optimization from the developers for this specific platform, which makes a huge difference in performance of how games run. A bit like how we mentioned Hogwarts Legacy earlier. If we look at Hogwarts Legacy Switch size, 7 gigabytes and downloaded 15, as I said earlier, and we go, I don't know, Hogwarts Legacy PC size, this is part of the optimization, 85 gigs. So, for example, your Switch version of Hogwarts Legacy is a far less file size, not only because of optimization, because the textures are way lower, but you see my point. There's optimization being done. But anyway, back to what we were actually talking about. So 12 to 16 gigabytes of memory. Now, this is obviously conflicting the not Bob Wolf himself, but this article, excuse the voice crack there, but 12 to 16 gigs, massively better if they go with that route. Now, the only thing that made me think if this one was true, that would be the reason they've gone for 8 is in like Steam Deck and Xbox Series S, for example, RAM is far more important with an AMD system than it is with a NVIDIA system. AMD's graphics cards have always required heavy, high RAM usage. I don't know if it's I don't know why. That's just from what I've witnessed from building PCs in the past. So maybe 8 gigs would be fine and they figured that out, but I would obviously prefer with this system spec. They talk about the performance of the RAM and the gigabytes per second from docked versus handheld. Fine. We've got this is interesting. Now, completely contradicts this with a 120 hertz screen. This one says that they will be going with a 1080p LCD 60 hertz display. Now, as much as I would love a 120 hertz screen, and it would be phenomenal to have that on something like a handheld like we've had with Steam Deck with 90 hertz and also ROG Ally 120 hertz and various other handhelds, I think personally I would actually almost rather maybe have a 1080p 60 hertz screen. These are single player games in the end of the day, and some of the bigger games like the Zelda games, for example, I wouldn't really care to have those running at 120 hertz. I'd much rather have a higher resolution and have them at 60 hertz. Like, it's not a big enough difference for me personally to like I don't know, reduce resolution so far down and rely on upscaling so much that you have to force it and do 640p upscale to 720p or 480p upscale to 720 to get these games to run at 120. And yes, there could be performance modes and stuff, but what you have to remember, this is a general consumer device. People don't understand all those performance modes and stuff like that. A lot of people don't care about it. So 60 hertz 1080p will make the games look really, really good. I imagine tons of games aren't even going to be able to run above 60 hertz anyway on this device. Yes, it's powerful, but look at Series S. There's still tons of 30 FPS games capped at 30 FPS, okay? There's still a lot of them. And here it's saying another huge contradiction is 256 to 512 gigabytes of storage, UFS 3.0. Now, I desperately hope this one again is true over the 64 measly gigabytes of storage. I really want this one to be true because, man, 64 is just not enough for a current gen. It wouldn't have been enough 3-4 years ago on a handheld coming out then. Like Steam Deck, we've got terabyte models now, and 256 is like the lowest end I would actually want. 64 is bad. I maybe think they're trying to save on cost because they know we've all got micro SD cards from the current Switch generation, but I don't know. Storage is so cheap now. It's so cheap, and for Nintendo to cheap out on that just seems very, very odd. Let me just actually click this. But yeah, anyway, that is what we are seeing from the specifications here. And this is just huge news. This is absolutely brilliant. I desperately hope this one is true. And also, by the way, this is 4 nanometers as well, which is very, very important. We've been hearing from the rumors that this device not only is more powerful, but the battery life is going to be massively improved. And that die shrink to 4 nanometers is huge for efficiency. Absolutely huge. I'm not going to go into all the technical details, but die shrinks are one of the most important things. Look at what happened with the Steam Deck OLED. You got a 90 hertz display, yet you can still run that thing for longer, like 50% more battery life, even at 90 hertz versus 60 on the original deck, and you get 50% more battery life. That's what a die shrink does, and that's not even improved performance. That's just literally like a die shrink. That's all they've done with the Steam Deck OLED, and obviously the OLED screen and other stuff. But the CPU, GPU specs are identical Steam Deck to Steam Deck OLED, so the die shrink and power save is all because of that. So this would be huge. 4 nanometers would be absolutely insane. But what do you guys think? I am very, very excited for this system. This could actually be at the power level where people could use this as a main console. So what is the Xbox Series S specs? Let's just have a look at that for a second, because I just want to have a little look. I know it's always difficult, but here we go. So Series S, we've got 8 cores, 3.6 gigahertz. Now, I would not imagine, we don't know the CPU core clocks, but I don't think they're going to be anywhere near that, because that that is a lot of heat. But obviously, you've got a lower resolution display, especially handheld. T-flop wise, I don't think they say in this. Oh yeah, 4 T-flops. So we've got a 4 T-flop console here. And as you can see, when docked, you can get between 3.5 and 4.5. So GPU wise, you could be looking at a pretty decent GPU, like in the Switch, sorry, and that's insane. And we're also not talking about how this is NVIDIA RTX 3000 technology with far better upscaling than AMD's FSR in this system. So that is very, very, very interesting. We don't know all the stuff about the CPU, which is going to be really, really important. We don't know that yet. We need to find that out. So, sorry, I've just realized I've had it not on here. Let me just talk about that very briefly again. So, yeah, Series S, as you can see here, 20 CUs, and the T-flop count is 4 T-flops. And on this, it's actually going to be 3.5 to 4.5 T-flops on the Nintendo Switch. Again, we need to wait for the CPU cores to come out because we don't have those right now. But as I said, hugely powerful, and we're at the point where you could use the actual Switch 2 if this is all true and comes to fruition. If it's these specs, which I hope it is, we could genuinely see a place where this is a very competing console with Series S, X, and PlayStation 5, and we could see native ports of games launching day and date with the others, especially, as I say, if these rumors are true here, depending on CPU, I hope this thing is decent, but depending on that, we could see games like, day and date launch with PlayStation and Xbox now. Nintendo will be there. Rather than getting Skyrim 15 years later or whatever the hell it is, we could be getting these games, not Skyrim, that's a bad example because it's now exclusive to Xbox, depending on the rumors recently, but we could see new games coming to the Switch 2 as we see them coming to other platforms. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the specs down below. This thing seems like a powerhouse. It's really, really interesting to see what's going on. But let me know what you think. What games would you like to see at launch? Which specs do you think are more correct between these two leaks? And I'll see you in future videos, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.